Good morning. Today, we will present our research on India's business and economic conditions, including cultural, political, and economic factors, and propose three product ideas for market entry. This project was prepared by our team, me, Raven Mendasa, Victor Diaz, Jay Hardy, Lorenzo Isaac de Camps, Bright Susu, Norris Nyakambiri, and Silvetive. The purpose of this project is to understand India's culture, politics, and economy. We study the risks and opportunities of doing business in India, and we will share three product ideas for possible market entry. So here is the Hofstede's cultural dimensions. As we can see, India and the US differ most in three areas: power distance, individualism, and indulgence. India values hierarchy, group loyalty, and restraint, while the US favors equality, independence, and enjoyment. Other dimensions are fairly similar. For managers, it's important to respect India's hierarchy, balance teamwork with individual roles, and use deadlines to keep both cultures aligned. When it comes to communication, the US is direct, while India relies more on indirect or high context messaging. When it comes to disagreement, the US is generally more open, whereas India prefers to avoid conflict. Scheduling also differs. The US values strict deadlines, while India approaches timelines with flexibility. To manage effectively, leaders should ask clarifying questions, provide flexible deadline ranges, and balance honesty with opportunities for self-correction. Negotiation in India is based on long-term trust and respect. Communication is indirect and polite, with meetings often starting through intermediaries and personal rapport building. The process is patient and flexible, so rushing or showing frustration is seen as disrespectful. Final decisions are usually made by senior leaders, and while contracts are important, ongoing trust matters more. Managers should approach negotiations with patience, cultural respect, and flexibility. When it comes to political system, India has a federal parliamentary democracy. The current leader is Prime Minister Narendra Modi, supported by a coalition under the BJP. The government has been pushing reforms such as Make in India, which promotes manufacturing, and also digital governance, which makes approvals and business processes easier. Recently, they also expanded foreign direct investment rules, opening more opportunities for foreign companies. Internationally, India is strengthening ties with Japan and ASEAN, but at the same time, it faces some trade disputes with the US, which can affect costs. For businesses, the overall environment is stable and generally favorable. However, coalition politics can sometimes slow down reforms, so companies need to remain flexible. In the 2025 Economic Freedom Index, India ranks 128 out of 184 countries, which classifies it as mostly unfree. The country faces significant challenges in areas like government integrity and labor regulations, which can increase risk of corruption and complicate HR operations. Other areas of concern include fiscal health, investment freedom, property rights, and judicial effectiveness, which can affect contract enforcement and asset security. Despite these challenges, India shows strength in monetary freedom, tax reforms, and financial freedom, particularly in fintech and digital payments. These areas offer opportunities for long-term financial planning and competitive advantage. For foreign businesses, this means careful risk management, compliance with local laws, and flexible strategies are essential. While the regulatory environment is complex, India's large market and selected reforms make it attractive for companies ready to navigate these constraints. So here's the business regulatory environment. As you can see from the graphs, India has made progress in its regulatory environment, but key challenges remain for businesses. Starting a business takes about 18 days. While this is faster than the South Asian average, it's still longer than OECD high-income countries. Tax compliance has improved under GST, but firms still spend roughly 250 hours per year managing filings and paperwork. Contract enforcement is the biggest challenge, taking almost 4 years on average and adding significant legal costs. Other hurdles include property registration and electricity connections, which remain slower than global standards. In summary, while digital reforms and streamlined procedures are helping, foreign companies must plan for longer timelines, higher costs, and legal uncertainties when entering the Indian market. So when it comes to tariffs and free trade agreements, India applies most favored nation tariffs to imported goods, meaning all WTO members get the same treatment. For our purposes, the most important takeaway is that food products face high tariffs around 32%, while materials and minerals are much lower, 2 to 6%, and pharmaceuticals are moderate at 11%. India has numerous free trade agreements with countries in ASEAN, also in Australia, Japan, South Korea, and more. These agreements reduce tariffs and trade barriers, creating opportunities for foreign businesses. For our business, this means we should import materials from countries that have FTAs with India whenever possible to minimize costs. Choosing the right FTA partner could make a big difference in our pricing and supply chain efficiency. India provides several incentives for foreign investment, especially through special economic zones or SEZs, and these zones offer competitive infrastructure, tax exemptions, and duty-free exports, which make them attractive for setting up factories or subsidiaries. However, some sectors are restricted, such as media, defense, railways, insurance, and aerospace. Certain activities are completely prohibited, including gambling, lotteries, real estate development, and tobacco manufacturing. For a new business venture, the best approach is to establish operations in an SEZ and avoid restricted or prohibited sectors. This strategy maximizes incentives while reducing regulatory risks. So in this section, I'll cover India's current economic conditions using four indicators: PPP GDP per capita, GDP growth, inflation, and lending interest rates. India's PPP GDP per capita rose from about 7,400 US dollars in 2021 to a projected 12,130 in 2025. This shows stronger purchasing power and a growing middle class, though affordability still matters. Companies should use tiered pricing to reach both value-conscious and premium consumers. GDP growth has stayed strong between 6 and 9% since 2021. This signals a dynamic market, but businesses should remain flexible because growth is moderating. Inflation has been 4 to 6%, higher than advanced economies but normal for emerging markets. For businesses, this means managing costs carefully and offering flexible pricing options. Interest rates remain high, around 8 to 9%, and this makes borrowing expensive for both consumers and businesses. So foreign firms should minimize reliance on local credit. In summary, incomes are rising, the economy is expanding, but inflation and high interest rates raise costs. A successful market entry will depend on competitive pricing, cautious financing, and adaptability. Over the past 5 years, the Indian rupee has gradually lost value against the US dollar, as shown in the graph. This depreciation is driven by interest rate differences between India and the US. Also, trade deficits, inflation, geopolitical tensions, and foreign investment outflows. For our venture, this creates both opportunities and risks. On the positive side, we could benefit from lower operating costs, more competitive pricing, and stronger investment power if we operate locally. However, there are risks to consider such as currency volatility affecting revenue, pricing, and long-term budgeting. So careful financial planning and risk management are essential to leverage the current trend while protecting against sudden reversals. So let's look at our three potential product ideas for our venture in India. The first is eco-friendly water purification bottles. So many communities in India still struggle with access to clean drinking water, and existing solutions can be expensive or inconvenient. While companies like Tata Chemicals and Kent RO Systems already offer water purification products, our bottles would use advanced graphene-based filtration, making them more efficient and durable than the current options. To build trust and encourage adoption, we'd partner with local NGOs to promote safe and sustainable water practices. So culturally, we'd also highlight the eco-friendly aspect of the bottles as uh, environmentally conscious products are increasingly valued in India. The second idea is low-cost fortified snack or snack packs for school children in rural areas. Malnutrition is still a problem for children in low-income households outside the big cities, and while the companies like Britannia and Nestle sell snacks, these are often high in sugar and aimed at middle-class consumers. So our snack packs would be affordable, nutritious, and made from local grains and legumes with added vitamins. The competitive advantage comes from addressing a health need that is often overlooked, and by working with schools and NGOs, we can build trust and loyalty before bigger companies enter the market. Cultural considerations are important here. India has many dietary restrictions, so the snacks would be fully vegetarian and clearly labeled. It also market through schools, local leaders, and community programs rather than relying solely on advertising. Finally, we have nutritional supplements. Many supplements in India are important and expensive, leaving a gap for affordable, high-quality options. Our product would be domestically produced with transparent labeling and a unique ingredient blend to maintain essential vitamins and minerals while keeping costs lower. This transparency and blend provide a temporary, sustainable competitive advantage, differentiating us from competitors like Power Gummies or Wellbeing Nutrition, whose products are mostly targeted at wealthier consumers. In summary, these three products all address unmet needs or underserved markets, safe, safe drinking water, nutritious snacks for children, and affordable supplements. Each leverages a clear competitive advantage while taking into account cultural factors, helping us connect with Indian consumers effectively. So, yes, here are the references we use to um, make this project. Thank you so much for watching.